New shirt, they say, is that a new shirt? You say, yes it is. And then they say, oh. Oh what? Oh nice? Or oh ooh? How else do they do things like that? In a world of discouragement, we need to be encouraged. And God does that whenever we focus on God's Word. Because God transforms us by the renewing of our mind so that we can stay positive, like our Heavenly Father is. I believe God is calling us, you, to be a messenger of encouragement. One that builds others up while the world is tearing them down. And one of the most spiritual things you can do is be an encourager. And here's a key thought about that. Our God is an encouraging God. Say that to your neighbor right now. Our God. If you're struggling with finding rest at night, guess what? You're not alone. Paul can reflect with you. Paul says this, when we arrived in Macedonia, there was no rest for us. So you're not alone. And the amazing thing is, discouragement and stress can lead to sleepless nights. Did you know that? But not to fear, Paul goes on. He says, we face conflict from every direction, with battles on the outside and fear on the inside. That's like many of us today. There are so many battles on the outside, so many stress points, stressors. We have so much stress on the outside, and we're left with fear on the inside. There's so many of us that can relate to that. But there's a good news. Paul says, even though we got fear on the inside, he adds this little phrase, but God. Anytime you see but God, things are going to change. The game's about to change for the good. Because regardless of how bad life gets, no matter how many circumstances or conflict on the outside and fear on the inside, but God, who encourages those who are what? That's right. God encourages those of you who are discouraged. God is the one that cares about your hurts. So when you're feeling hurt, when you're conflicted with indecision, when there's challenges in your home, when there's challenges at work, when you have all these conflicts on the outside and you've got fear on the inside, God loves you so much that God wants to encourage your discouraged heart. And He's the one who is faithful to do that. How did God encourage Paul, you might ask? God simply encouraged Paul by He encouraged us by the arrival of Titus. Can you believe that? For many people, someone that is a messenger that comes to you, we say, wow, that was just circumstance. That was coincidental. But not to Paul. Paul took Titus's arrival to him as God's message of encouragement to him. Think about that. God encourages others by sending people your way. Have you ever had a bad day and you were just feeling really sorry about yourself? You were feeling a victim of the world, and then all of a sudden God sent someone with a telephone call to you out of the blue, right? Or you were feeling really bad at work and God sends a Christian co-worker your way and say, you know what? How would you like to go out for lunch? Or maybe you're over at the store and you're feeling really, in fact, I saw this the other day over at Walmart. Some lady was saying, you know, I don't know how I'm going to, I can't buy that because I paid all my bills towards this and that. And then someone came her way to help out. God encourages others by sending messengers of encouragement. For Paul, he discovered someone cares. God cares. He sent someone to him. I want you to encourage you to be an encourager. It's amazing how one kind word can change a person's entire life. This week, we're looking at staying positive. And this week, how do I stay encouraged? How am I encouraged? Here's 3 spiritual truths that I think will help you focus on that. Number 1 is this: encourage others daily. Encourage others daily. Why? Because on a daily basis, we got voices of discouragement that are so constant. You do something, or someone says, that really wasn't that good. Or you go home and someone says, you left the dishes out again? Are those your socks? Did we not have the conversation on how to pick our socks up? Or shoes? That's a good one. Or you have your own voice of discouragement. I just will never be like that person. Or I just will never measure up. I'll never fit the bill, so to speak. Or like someone just recently said to me, went to my first prayer meeting for the school year, and my pastor friend said to me, you know what? I wish so much I was like that church. Just discouraged. Because there's so many voices around there. And that's why I think the author of Hebrews wrote this. But encourage one another daily. Can you say that? How often are we supposed to encourage one another? Daily. Absolutely. It is very important that we encourage each one daily. Why do we need to encourage one another daily? So that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Discouraged voices will cause you to be hardened to sin's deceitfulness. But that's why God's antidote is to encourage each other what? Daily. Absolutely. Every single day we should be God's tool of encouragement, especially for His church. Here's a simple rule. If you think something good, say something good. If you think something, say it that moment. Text it, write it, give it away, spread it around. It's amazing what one word of encouragement can do. You don't ever want to rob someone else of a blessing. If God puts it on your heart to say a nice thing to your wife, say it. If God puts something nice in your heart to say to your child, give it. Even if God puts something on your heart to say something to the crabby person that you can't wait to get away from, bless them. You might be speaking curses on your lips, but bless them. Because God blesses you, so you can be a blessing to others. I need encouragement, so I'm going to give encouragement. If I think something good, I'm going to say something good. That moment, don't put it off. So the first thought of being an encourager is encourage one another daily. Second thought is this. Encourage others spiritually. Be a voice of encouragement. If you see a child clean up their room, you go to that child and say, you know what? You did a great job cleaning up that room. If you see someone that has redone their home, you go over to them and say, boy, I love what you've done with your home. If they redid their cabinets, say, great job with your cabinets. Here's the door bolts off. Great job. We need to be encouragers. But notice this. When you start to encourage, God will take what you use and transform it for His glory. God will take it the next step to plant a seed or water a seed that's already been planted. Notice what Paul says here in Romans. One of the things I always pray for is the opportunity, God willing, to come to at last to see you. For I long to visit you so I can bring you some spiritual gift that will help you grow strong in the Lord. Did you hear that? Paul was hoping to come to share a spiritual gift of encouragement, to share his heart, to share his presence. For what? To build that person up in the Lord. It is so important that we gather together in both worship and life groups and small groups. Why? So we can encourage one another. Is the world going to encourage you? When you turn on that nightly news and the first headline on the thing is going to be, you know what? We had earthquakes, we had fires, we had cyber terrorism, we have hurricanes. There's 3 right now that are already forming in the Atlantic again. But, be encouraged. Good night. Is that how it works? Here's the thing. To be the friend of the world is to be the enemy of God. Because we were not created for this world. We were created to live with God forever. We're pilgrims, waiting for Jesus to call home. And who knows, it might be sooner than we think. Can't wait, can you? But as long as we have life, we need to do life together. Why? Because I need to build up your faith. And you need to build up my faith through the Holy Spirit, right? I need to build you up spiritually. You also need to build me up spiritually. Let's be honest. How many of you that were there at the outdoor worship last week loved it? I loved it too. Number 1, there were no spiders. And number 2, we did life together. Because the church is not a place you go to. The church is who we are. Just think about that. The church is not a place you go to. The church is who we are. And Paul goes on to say this. Paul says this. I want to encourage you in the faith, but I also want to be encouraged by you. Remember that pastor friend that I went to the prayer meeting and he was very discouraged? He actually said, I feel like a loser pastor. I was like, a loser pastor? That don't sound promising. This is the thing. He had been away for a couple of weeks and he was starting to lose a lot of families to other places. And he was like, I wish I could be like this church or that church. And I said, you know what? Church is not in competition. It's all God's church if Jesus is Lord and head of that church, right? And all of a sudden, John 6 came to me. Take a look at John 6. I said, look at that church, Jesus' church on John 6 Day. Jesus started out his church as a mega church. It was like Willow Creek. It was like Kansas, verse 1, right? But as people were following Jesus, they realized that whenever you follow Jesus, there's a cost involved. And if there's no personal sacrifice, you're not really following Jesus. In fact, a lot of the people that were like that wanted to get something out of Jesus, they fell away when things got hard. When they felt like they were the victim, they fell away. Because Jesus says, if you want to follow me, you need to what? Deny self, take up your cross. That means there's going to be a cost. It's going to get personal. And then follow him. So they start out with John 6, where they started out like a canvas church. And by the time John 6 gets to the end, they're like the size of Calvary. In fact, they were even smaller than Calvary. They got down to 12. That's what Jesus said to Peter. Do you want to go away too because the cost is too high? And Peter said it, he hits it right on the head. He says, Lord, where shall we go? You and you alone have the words of eternal life. There's cost involved in following Jesus. For sure. And so we prayed and the pastor was encouraged. Without life groups, without small groups, without church, we will not naturally be encouraged. We will not naturally be built up. We will not naturally be sharpened, as the Bible, as Solomon said in Proverbs 27:17, where he says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So how do you spiritually encourage someone? Here's some examples. Next time you encourage someone, you say something like this. Hey, the way you love your family, that's cool. You can say that. That's good, right? But next time, add one more thing. Wow, the way you love your family, that's cool. That blesses me. Not that hard. Or you see someone playing soccer, and you go out to them, and you say, hey, it's amazing how you hit that soccer ball. You can say that, right? Or you could say, wow, that's amazing how you hit that soccer ball. That certainly is a gift from above. You plant the seed. Or another example might be, congratulations on that news promotion. Way to go! You deserve it! Or you could add one more thing. Congratulations on that promotion. You earned it. You deserve it. And as God says, God, you've been faithful with a little, God's now going to trust you with more. It doesn't take much to do that. Last thought is this. 3 of the most spiritual things you can do to be encouraging is encourage others daily, encourage others spiritually, and the final way is encourage yourself in the Lord. How does that work? It works like this. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved. Every man for his sons and for his daughters, but David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Say that last part. He encouraged himself where? How many of you have had battles on the outside and fears on the inside? Raise your hand. How many of you have had a rotten week? How many of you have had a rotten life? I'm going to say right now, it wasn't as bad as David had it. Because they wanted to throw stones at him. So when your problems are about to throw stones at him, you can relate to David, right? Your day is not that bad until your problems start getting ready to throw stones at you, okay? What did David do? When he was blamed for the circumstances and he was facing death in the eyes. What does it say? David encouraged himself in the what? Lord his God. Absolutely. Absolutely. He had problems on the outside, fear on the inside, but he was encouraged by Jesus himself. So how do you encourage yourself in the Lord? How do you encourage yourself to the Lord? Become a preacher. And if you go to be a preacher, you got to have a pulpit. I remember a couple of years ago, actually many years ago, when I first came to Calvary, Calvary had this beautiful pulpit that sat over here. It looked like the bow of a ship. And, well, to me, you have preachers of all different styles, and I don't preach from pulpits because I fall out of them so many times and I see too many spiders in them. So I just preach from the floor. That's just how I'm wired, right? So we put the pulpit in mothballs, and anyway, we had a sale, and the son of the one that created the pulpit bought the pulpit to take down to his big house in Lakeside. And I asked him, why do you need a pulpit? He said, well, I'm going to put a pulpit right in the middle of my dining room, and I'll preach to my wife. That's what pulpits are for, so you can preach to your spouse. No, I wouldn't encourage you to do that. It may not be healthy. We need to not preach to our wife. We don't need a pulpit. We need to preach to ourselves. We need to preach to ourselves and remind us of the promises God has given to you as his daughter or son. So when the world is trying to fill your mind with discouragement that you're a loser, you'll never make it, you'll never measure up, you'll never get it right, all that toxic thinking, remember what God says to you. My God will supply all my needs according to his riches and glory. If my God is for me, who can be against me? Not even my own thinking can be against me. My God is working all things together for good. So what the devil meant for evil, God will use for his good and for his glory. I like what Abraham Lincoln said. Abraham Lincoln carried with him a newspaper clippings that stated he was a great leader. I think we need to carry around reminders of God's promises. Carry around that email where someone said, you know what? Good job. Carry around a voicemail that says, you know what? I really feel honored by the way you worship. You inspire me to be more like Jesus. I love that encouragement, that courage that you have. That when everybody else left that person that got that diagnosis, you stayed there in both thick and thin. Wow, what a source of inspiration. What a source of encouragement. Encourage yourself in the Lord. Last thought. When you have trouble on the outside, fear on the inside, what do? Embrace the truth that we serve a God who encourages those who are discouraged. We encourage one another daily. As God starts encouraging you spiritually, what do? You become a gift to others by your words and by your presence. When trouble turns to throwing stones at you rather than just words, be like David. What do? You encourage yourself in the Lord to the point where you can say something like this. Why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall yet praise him, the help of my countenance and my God. Because God is faithful. And as God has encouraged you, the way he encourages others in this